guys, welcome back. We are so excited to welcome you to episode 11 of Rhinestoned.
Rhinestoned!
Yay! Honestly, like
Yay!
this is like I look forward to this all week,
I
especially on a
know.
week like this week when there's so much to talk about. Like
When we've been blessed by the Bravo gods
just
once
so
again.
Bravo's giving, just like celebrities are giving,
They
like
really are for no reason, by the
and
way.
this
They
is
don't
what
need
you
to.
need in a month like January. That's so like just miserable. And I mean, I that's how I feel. January is my least favorite month.
It is because it's getting back to the reality of like, oh my God, we're gonna do this all over again.
Totally. I also think, so I've been feeling very like tired and just kind of like, blah, the last few days. And I saw this reel that cracked me up where someone was like, you have to remember, we are animals, and animals at this time of year are hibernating.
Hibernating.
We're
That's
not, they're not,
so
they're not doing
fair.
anything. Like,
Yeah.
so she was like, if you feel tired, if you feel like you need to lay down, if you feel like if there's a reason for that. And I do also think that is why I don't like January. I don't like feeling like that. I like when the sun, doesn't go down until like 6, 7 o'clock. I want to feel like
Yeah.
energized when I wake up, and that's not January for me.
So I also think, and I don't know if you experience this in your life, but we have some sort of gene from mother where it's the I can't relax gene. It's the I could sit on the couch and enjoy a show, or I could clean the basement.
Get up
Let's
and
go
just walk
clean.
around and like move things from one side
Yes,
of
from
the
one
room to
stage
the
to
other.
another. It's like I have to really teach myself it's okay to be still. It's
Yeah,
okay to enjoy the moment. It's okay to enjoy your clean house. You've cleaned enough. That thing in the corner, that can be
it'll be fine.
tomorrow. I do have a little bit of that, like, no, is someone gonna come and see this pile of it's like, no, okay. And stoners, really quickly. We have a guest who needs to make an appearance. She will make a quick appearance and then she will leave. And it's to eat a little bit of this croissant. So let's let her do that and then I can throw it away
She'll settle
and then we'll
down.
be done. Okay. So come all the way up because they want to see you all the way up. Let's go. Come on. Quicker. Okay. And then you're gonna do it on camera. Ready? This is a good girl. Very gentle. Very gentles. Okay, now go. You're done.
She's like, no, Mama, I want more.
Goodbye. Okay,
So, any fun weekend plans? What's going on this weekend?
I do. I
Yeah.
have a birthday party, which is really great because I'm sure there are some parents out there that are like, oh, another birthday. I love them. I think they're a great way to gobble up 2 hours on a Saturday. My
Yeah.
daughter gets to meet new kids. This one is cool because my youngest got invited to it, and I reached out to the mom and asked if my oldest could come, and she said yes. So some of her old
Oh,
friends from preschool that she hasn't seen in maybe like 6 months are going to be there. So that should be a really good time.
oh,
Another
that's so fun.
opportunity to get hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Well, I was gonna try and be positive and say, I think I'm always sending you this guy's videos here in New York, who's like a dad corporate
Uh,
influencer.
yeah.
But he had one recently that was cracking me up because it's just talking about like once you have kids. He was saying the difference between the weekends, and he was like, for 4 kids, you wake up on the weekend, you're like, we don't have any plans. It's like, okay, we'll like figure it out. We'll go whatever.
Yeah.
Once you have kids, you're like, we don't have any plans. We didn't plan anything. What are we gonna do all weekend?
Like, really, what are we going to do? And
So
then
I guess
one day,
having a birthday party kind of takes that away a little bit. You don't have to think about how you're gonna occupy them.
well, especially when it's not okay, really quick, especially when it's a birthday party where it's physical activity. So this one is like a kids gym, right? So
Oh,
she'll
that's
be
cool.
exhausted. There
Yeah,
are some like Chuck E. Cheese where it's just you're just eating sugar and playing games. There's
totally.
no that doesn't tire
Having a
anyone
little
out.
nightmare for later.
Right, exactly. Yes, you're cooking up a nightmare for later. What about you?
I am going to be going stir crazy this weekend
No.
because we apparently are getting a big storm
Oh my
here
God,
at the
yeah.
West East Coast. I don't know. I mean, look, we are very used to in the city hearing that there's going to be some big storm and then it's like nothing. There's like a lot of funny memes
I've
There's one
seen
that always
them.
cracks me up where it's just like an orange cone knocked over. And it's like New York after the storm. They always pull that one out every time. Oh man, it's been rough.
Okay,
But
wait, wait.
you just never know, you know? So
Well, what is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be a
they
what,
don't, I mean, that's the thing. They
blizzard?
really don't know. I mean, yes, so there's supposed to be like a lot. I think what is the bigger news story is going to be harder for like the Midwest, Southeast
Okay,
region because it's going to be a lot of ice, a lot of
fair enough.
freezing rain,
Right.
and it's going to be very dangerous in that
Okay.
sense. I
Yeah.
think that in terms of like snow, I don't, they keep saying like maybe it could be a foot here in New York.
Okay.
So we'll see. I guess the one funny thing is apparently we've been getting these like big storms all of the 6 years. So like 1996, 2006, which I was here for. That was my first big snowstorm ever, which was crazy, crazy experience. To go from
Did
like
you
never
wait?
seeing snow to then one of the biggest snowstorms on record for New York is that was fun.
And like okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the day, it was like you would get these like big New York coats. Like, do you remember that
We,
where everyone
I
would
mean,
just have
people,
these?
yeah, people still have them, but like the one I had then was a tent for
Yes.
I
Yes.
remember after this snowstorm, this was like my freshman year of college, my
I
whole
remember
floor.
this for some reason, this
Because
being
it
like
was
a
just like,
thing.
I mean, honestly, now I look back on it, it's like we were in an episode of Gossip Girl or something. But the whole floor got suited up with whatever we had, which for a lot of people was not much. And we
Mhm.
went to Washington Square Park and had the most epic snow fight ever. I mean, it was dangerous. I remember getting thrown down into the ground. Like it was like full on.
Oh
And
man,
I remember
how
having so
oh
much snow up that tent coat.
yeah.
Like once it was over, you were like, okay, let's go back now. Like that was like,
To be clear. And
yeah.
when she
So
says
now,
go back, she means to her Fifth Avenue dorm room.
yeah, just a couple blocks up.
Life was so hard. Hold on, let me get my tiny violin.
It was tough. It was tough. Honestly, but you know what? It's like things that would never happen now, right? Like I saw today, like it's 100K now to go to NYU a year. 100K. Like that's insane. So, anyways,
Wow.
now we're in 2026, and apparently it's going to be a big one. But we'll see. So, people
Well, I
like
hope
started
not.
panic buying though a lot sooner.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of people like yesterday who like went to the store and were like, wait a second, I thought I would be like ahead of the game. There's like nothing here. Like I keep
Did
seeing,
you get anything, little girl? Did you get some at least some water?
I thought,
Get water.
water. Who do you think
Okay.
you're talking to right
I don't
now?
know. Okay.
Oh, come on. Do you
Like
know
she
me
got
or do
water.
you know me? What do you think? What do you think?
Okay.
No. I mean, I might go back out and get some more wine later, but outside of that, no. I've got two different meals that can be made,
Good.
bacon, egg, and cheese supplies,
I love it.
some fruits, so we'll see. So,
We're
anyways,
stocked. We're
but
ready to go.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a whole lot of waiting for nothing. If the snow actually is not supposed to start till Sunday, so we'll see.
Okay. Well, keep me posted.
Yeah. But I just honestly there was part of me that didn't even want to talk about our weekends because I, like I said, have been waiting all week for
It's
us
so,
to
and
and now
I'm
it's like
glad
now
we
we have the
waited.
benefit of like seeing how this has played out, right? But
Oh,
like,
because yeah.
oh my God, Brooklyn Beckham gave the world a gift this past weekend, did he not? That was some
Wow.
reading.
Wow.
I didn't even see it actually. My boyfriend showed it to me. We were heading out to go to like a late lunch. So I'm like in the Uber, like trying to like scroll and like read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just dumbfounded. Honestly,
Dumbfounded.
I think it's so unprecedented that someone would come out and
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
that
Okay.
be that
So
honest.
we'll do a little bit of what we know that got us to here,
Yes.
and then, just our thoughts. So do you want to take that? Who do you think knows? I don't know. Who
But
is Brooklyn?
I think our Rhinestoners already know. I don't think they know
Okay, we'll do
how
a
we got to
five, we'll
this
do
point.
5 seconds.
This has been going on for a
For
while now.
years.
I think ever since she entered the picture, it was frosty. But that being said, I will say, as someone who does sort of has been following the whole thing, there definitely were a lot of good moments. Like Victoria posted on her birthday
Yep.
one time, I remember a really cute video actually of them
Yep.
together, like dancing on the beach. So I feel like, whether it was whether it was done with the purest intention of or not, it's very clearly documented that they were making an effort, right? Whether that
Yeah.
was in, for good reasons or if they were just playing along. Um, I think that it's taken a lot to get to this point,
Yeah.
obviously. But here we are.
But here we are. And
And
okay,
we're
so
drunk.
so I am going to do 30, we'll do a 30-second. Nicola. And how do you say it? Nicola? Nicola?
I think it's Nicola.
Okay. Maybe I'm putting the wrong emphasis on
I've
the wrong
known a
thing.
Nicola actually. I worked with a Nicola. She was like,
Beautiful name, Nicola.
yeah, I do like
Love
it.
it. I do like it. I do like it a lot. Nicola Peltz, from what I understand, she is like an heir to a billionaire
Yes.
fortune. I think her dad does pretty boring stuff. I believe he is just like a banker of some sort who has many different investments that
I
have
thought
done
that
well
they
for
were
him.
like heirs from some like brand or something like that.
We're
Like,
gonna, you know what? We're gonna real time. We're gonna real
as you can
time.
see, Rhinestoners, we definitely did our research on this. To be honest, I just don't care enough to look into her backstory. That's
Who
really
is
what it
Nelson
comes down
Peltz?
to.
He's an American businessman and investor. He's a billionaire and he's a founding partner, a garden trend and tolerant investment management fund based in New York, a former director of Heinz. So yeah, he invests in stuff. That's what he does. He invests in different stuff, but he doesn't currently like own anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have, and it looks like he is a notable Republican donor, just to put that into perspective for everyone. Um,
Okay.
so that's her daddy. She has a lot of money. Brooklyn Beckham comes from, of course, Victoria Beckham and David Beckham, right? One of the things I wanted to talk to you about too is like how this all actually. Okay, I'm going to table that because I think it's important to touch on it. But so basically, these two met. Brooklyn was 21. I believe Nicola was maybe like 26. So there is like a slight, people
A
have been
5 year age
noting
gap.
on
Yeah.
this like age gap. Come on, you guys. We're talking about a senior and freshman in high school type of situation. Like, I don't really think this is a notable age gap in any way. And basically, there has been a rift that's been going on for a couple of years. I think the most notable one that came out for everyone that was like a headline was when they were getting married,
Yes.
and Victoria Beckham, who owns a very popular fashion house in what's the name of it? Can't even remember. The one that we all know. She owns that. And she was supposed
Victoria
to make
Beckham. That's what it's
Victoria
called.
Beckham. She was supposed to make the dress. It turns out maybe that didn't happen, maybe for different reasons. Both sides came out and said the dress thing wasn't that big of a deal. It was kind of an error on all sides. It seems
Yeah.
like maybe the atelier that Victoria Beckham works with. And let's be honest too, Victoria Beckham, that line is not a gown line, right? It's very
That's why
clean
I questioned that
line.
story to begin with, actually, because I
Maybe that
remember
was
when that came
true.
out, but I don't know if I actually believe that Victoria Beckham was ever designing the dress.
I
It
don't
does
think
it doesn't
so.
make sense. They don't do wedding dresses. I don't know if I believe. I remember when that story came out that like there was some talk of that or whatever, but and actually again, I mean, this is where the whole thing is interesting because so much of this has been documented, but we'll get into this a little bit more, but in the Vogue article about their wedding,
Right.
talks about that she was having Valentino make her wedding dress for like
Right.
over a year. So that's where I just don't think that Victoria was really ever a part of it. But anyways, continue.
No, and I think that too. My read on that is if it's true, Tillier, whatever that perhaps what it was Nicola made some sort of sketch in her brain or reference or pulled a bunch of
Yeah.
references, sent it over to Victoria's team. They looked at it and they said, this is not the sort of corsetry we do, or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't have the ability. She would be better served by Valentino Prada, whoever it is that ended up making her dress. I also don't care. So Brooklyn came out a couple of days ago, right? I am not exactly sure what stirred this up again, but it does look like there was some blocking or alleged unfollowing that happened around Christmas.
Yeah.
Romeo who is one of Romeo, Cupid, and Tootsie Roll. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. These kids have crazy names. But so I think one of the middle children came out and said Victoria did not unfollow Brooklyn. Brooklyn blocked us all. And so it appears as unfollowing has happened, but that is simply what happens when someone is blocked, right? Like we go out of their friends list.
Totally.
So now Brooklyn came out this week. He has this 5-page long Instagram story that's going kind of relitigating these last 5 years back up into the wedding, right? Where he's talking about Mark Anthony performing and basically kind of announcing to the wedding, I would like to dance with the most beautiful woman in the world or in the room. And Victoria Beckham kind of saunters forward and has a provocative dance with him. And this is all through the lens of an incredibly privileged boy who has probably gotten everything he's ever wanted, who is married to an incredibly privileged woman who has most certainly gotten everything that she's ever wanted. Um, and I did do a little bit of a deep dive. And so the only things that I do have to share are this, that basically for the last couple of years, there has been this funny business on Brooklyn's side, right? And a lot of it has kind of been on this Instagram platform, right? Which like it was David's birthday. Everyone in the family said, Happy birthday, Dad. Brooklyn said nothing, but then said, I miss you, Grandma, to like Nicola's grandma who had died 5 years
Oh
ago.
yeah, I remember when that happened.
There's just been consistent things that he's been doing on Instagram to like send this message out to the world that like something is happening
Something's
within the
amiss.
family.
Yeah.
And I guess the part that I wanted your feedback on was this did dawn on me. This is a family that is like 1 foot in the United States and 1 foot in Europe, right? Like, and we all know the press rags in across the pond are much different, much more intense, right? They get, I mean,
Yeah.
look what they do to the Royals. Okay, so I'm also wondering, like, maybe there are constant stories that are happening about the Beckhams, but they're more landing in that world and we're not privy to it. And so when this stuff hits our desk, it's like, huh? But
Like
then
he's
maybe
more.
I don't know, like maybe I'm missing the day-to-day press coverage of David Beckham that must still happen in his
Oh yeah, I mean
side of the world.
it totally does. Look, to that point, I think that's where he underestimated this situation spectacularly. This,
Hmm.
I think, has completely blown up in both of their
Okay.
faces. And I say both of their faces because I 100% think she is complicit in that note. I know a lot of people think that she wrote it, which I think there could be merit to that theory because there are elements of it that I don't think are how a man necessarily would talk.
I agree. I think she wrote it.
So whether she wrote it or didn't, either way, they were probably both there hitting the post button side by side, right?
Yeah.
So she's definitely a part of it. I think that they were banking on people siding with them. I
Yeah.
just don't, from what we know about them, they're not suffering from severe mental illness or something like that. So
Right.
in their right minds, they thought that this was going to elicit sympathy.
Yes.
And I think that to me has been the funniest part as we've watched this story evolve as we've gotten through the week, because I think that where I almost can understand their thinking is that we are living in political media type climate right now where it is becoming more difficult, I think, for brands to know how things are going to land, right?
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of examples. It's like even like makes me think of like the Cracker Barrel redesign, right? The
Uh-huh.
rebrand and how
Hmm.
how much that blew up, right? Like,
Hmm.
and they hired a great firm or a person, I'm sure, to lead that
Vetted.
that I'm sure has all of the experience. You just it's harder than ever to be in touch with the cultural zeitgeist because the cultural zeitgeist is changing every second.
Yep. I completely agree.
And and I know because of, our line of work, unfortunately, like these things do take work a lot of times, right? Like, and I think that's probably more the world that the Beckhams come from, where there's more curation behind, how they are appearing publicly. There's more thoughtfulness, there's more planning, and then there's the stuff that just comes up and you have to deal with it. So I think for them, they're probably more used to that, and trying to control things. He clearly did not learn anything from watching his parents and his mother in particular, who so skillfully has navigated the media her entire career. It's
Hmm.
clear to me that he was not paying attention because
No.
I think there are so many things that he could have, taken a page from that would have prevented him from doing this.
Yeah.
So that being said, though, I get why they did it. They thought 50-50 chance this could become something that is not only going to give them the vindication and the validation that they need, but I think she's also craving fame. I think that maybe they thought this was going to give them the fame that they wanted. And I just have to say, it has been absolutely delightful to watch this actually give Victoria Beckham even more fame.
So, okay,
That
here's
has
my,
been the story this week. She is
yeah,
on fire.
yes,
She's charting in the iTunes UK charts with one of
yep.
her solo songs that she had from years ago. I mean, he very much underestimated people's love for his mother.
So I'm so glad you said that because that's my hot take. This is, or not even hot take. This is just my take. I do think Nicola wrote it,
Yeah,
or at least helped. I think you have to understand in the UK, across the pond, David Beckham is a king.
yeah.
This man can do no wrong. He has cheated on Victoria. I mean, that has happened.
That's so far in the past. That has
That
nothing to do with his
no
brand
one
image
cares.
today.
And even when that was happening, no one cared because people love him. Okay. He is a god. Bend it like Beckham. The whole movie was made about this guy. Point being, I think the calculation to your point was okay, if we can't mention my dad. I honestly believe Brooklyn's beef is with his dad. I
Exactly.
think
I agree with
there
that.
is a deep, deep, deep jealousy, feeling of inferiority. He is the eldest. He was supposed to take up the post of this. He has done nothing with himself. Let's be honest. Okay. Brooklyn Beckham does not have a amazing career.
What do you
So
mean? He's a
he
budding chef.
he's a but right. He's been trying to make that happen for 5 years. So in his mind and in Nicola's mind, even if they know that to what you're saying is true, right? The Victoria has given more effort, that she has tried. It's easier to throw her under the bus. She is not as beloved in the UK and abroad,
Yeah.
right? And so they're thinking if we are gonna get this to be believed in mass, the best way to do it, the vehicle that we have to use is my mom.
And well, society hates women, so
And it'll be and that's and I think if so many if we just as regular people can see through that, right, like then you've made a huge miscalculation on how dumb the general population is. It's like she is still our, not too much on her, she is still our Spice Girl, like.
yeah, I don't, and that's what I mean about like it's interesting how someone can grow up in that household and then not really understand the weight of cultural relevance that your parents hold, right? And
Right.
I think again, that's where that to me is the most shocking thing about the note. It just
Yeah,
sort
like
of feels like he's doing it in a vacuum or just in an alternate reality where I mean I don't know if you just saw the Adidas commercial that came out that Beckham's in. Like he is still working. He is still like
he
someone
is,
that
thank
brands want
you.
to employ for like to sell their products. Like
Right.
I
He
just
brings the dollars.
it
She brings the dollars. She brings the eyes. And I will say, when you really think about the Beckhams, really, they are not out here hungry for fame. If they were, you would see them I mean, I'm sorry, I see Ben
they
Affleck
don't
out
go
on the
to
street
court.
every
That's the
single
thing.
day.
They don't live their lives that publicly
They
anymore.
do not. They are more
Very
akin,
controlled, very
right?
curated. It's,
Very curated.
I mean,
Very
look, they do
curated.
turn up at events and things like that. And I
Of
think they're
course.
definitely on like some of the normal social circuits that celebrities that are living in Miami and I'm sure
Right.
spending a lot of time in the UK as well are. But
But these
to
are not
me,
clout chasers. These are not clout chasers. These are not people who need to be chasing fame. And it's so sad too, because really, you have the world at your fingertips. you have married someone who probably has maybe not access to her father's billions, but I'm sure she has millions of dollars at her disposal as an heiress to this sort of money. I'm sure she has an inheritance now that at almost 30 she can plug into,
Which,
okay?
by the way, Brooklyn gets none of. He signed a prenup reportedly where he will get nothing because I think that I saw, I don't
No
know,
wonder he's struggling.
I don't think it was an official statement. I think it was more of like, again, a leaked type situation where apparently the Beckhams said that they are very concerned for him because of that, i.e., because they are not going to take him crawling back after this marriage ends and he has no money. He's definitely kind of following the path of Prince Harry in that
I
way.
was gonna just say, I was gonna say, at a certain that, yeah, I not to get into them, but I do just wonder, like, man, a little bit. I would love to be able to fast forward 30 years and just see, like, are you still, if I'm Prince Harry, am I still living in a mansion in Montecito? Because where am I getting that Montecito money? I don't know. What have I been doing for 30 years to maintain that? She's got that one Netflix deal and she hasn't been able to make anything work. Not one thing. That show doesn't work. The podcast didn't work. Good luck. Good luck.
I
I don't
think,
know.
I don't know. So, like, it's interesting because, again, I think it seems like most people, I think, are on Victoria's side. And I think there's just so many layers to this. Like, another thing that I think about too, that for me is sort of another point in her book. I think that any like smart mother knows that if you don't embrace your son's partner, you're at risk of losing your son.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that's why they were all hanging out in the
Yes.
beginning,
Yeah.
right? Because like she's not a stupid woman, right? Like
Yeah.
she knows as well. She married David very young and went and basically went lived an entire life out with him, right? So I
Yes.
think she knows that like
Right.
that's going to happen with her children as well. That was why there was a relationship in the beginning, right? So I think that's the other thing. It's like regardless of what you think of the Beckhams, I do get a sense from them that they are at least smart people. And I don't think they would be doing things intentionally, I guess, to drive that wedge, because I think they probably knew pretty early on if we can't find a way to make it work with her, that means we're going to lose contact with our son.
Yeah.
This is where I
Yeah.
think it starts to get really interesting when you dig in on Nicola. So I know you know this too, but this is not her first celebrity spawn relationship. I
Correct.
think that now that she's back in the news after this statement, people are digging up things that I honestly do remember. I just had forgotten about
Me too.
her relationship with Anwar.
Hmm.
And I also think that's where people are bringing up the age difference between her and Brooklyn right now, because maybe, yes, it wasn't as weird between the two of them, but she also had a 5 year age difference when she was dating Anwar, and he was 17 at the time. So
I kind of hate that.
I think that this is definitely a pattern in which one, maybe she's looking for men that she can control, mold, but two, I do really think that so much of this entire thing is driven by a desire for fame. And I
Yeah.
think that's sort of like the irony of his post is that he ends it saying, we want to live our lives privately and not deal with all of this blah 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 blah, but nothing about how the two of them have been moving for the last few years backs that up. Like
Right.
Nicola is very clearly a woman seeking fame. Like I don't have you
Wants to be an
seen that
actress.
movie that she was in?
Right. Like
The
she
pregnant
wants to be an actress
pregnant
directed by Kristen
sugar.
Stewart.
Or even yesterday they were out doing like paparazzi shots on the beach.
And
So
how many magazine covers have I mean, these two have done like three magazine editorial shoots and then accompanying interviews, right? Like we've done Vogue, they did, I think GQ, like they've done very, like I will say, are trying in my opinion, to do that whole Bex thing,
yeah,
right? They're trying to be this like unit that Sonny and Cher's together to the top, which is an incredibly hard thing to do because you both have to be likable and you had to be likable independently and
Totally.
then come together and then continue to be likable. This is the issue with J-Lo and Ben. It's like on paper, sure, but we only like one side. So once again,
Yeah.
it didn't work,
But
right?
that's where again I can understand in Nicola's mind, she's just looking for a name, right? Like
That's
for
what I'm
what she
saying.
knows, I think she's looking
Absolutely.
for something that she can just leverage. I think the other thing that was interesting with people kind of
Right,
talking about
Peltz
the
Beckham. And then I'm
yeah,
sorry, really quickly, not to interrupt you, but I also think that this is notable, and maybe this is what you were going to say. They both changed their names. Their names is Peltz Beckham. His name is Peltz
yeah, I did think that
Beckham.
was weird when he did that.
So they're really trying to be like, to your point, she needed, no one knows Peltz. Her dad is a nameless
Yeah,
businessman. So she needed that name to then cinch that nepotism.
100%. I was gonna say the other side of the fame thing is that she could actually just be like neurotic. Like the Anwar thing was interesting because the way that that kind of got bubbled up again this week, they were saying that like his family had to basically like grip him back from her grasp.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was really interesting because obviously that wasn't verified, but it's one of those things where it's almost just like it's too
Well,
specific to not be believable. And now in the last couple of days, I don't know if you saw not Bella or Gigi, but you know the other Hadid sister.
the older one.
She's come out to basically kind of confirm that Nicola
Right.
is a terror.
I saw
So
that.
I
I
just
thought I
it
thought
has
at
gone
first
so
that
bad for
quote I thought at first that quote was from Anwar and I said, "Oh no." But then I realized it was from this because if it was from Anwar, signed, sealed,
that would
delivered.
really, I know Anwar needs to come forward. We need to
Like
know what Anwar Hadid thinks. Enter
I was
the
like,
chat.
"Oh no, nail in the coffin." Okay? Here's what I want to say, too. I don't know anything about anything. All of this is alleged and I'm mostly a liar. But here's what I want to say. You have to honestly bring this back to the brass tacks of money sometimes.
Yeah.
I, in my own life, have known relationships like this, not on the male side, on the female side, where women have they have a trust fund, they have money, and their boyfriends maybe don't, okay? And they want to do something like go to Cancun for their birth, like in my own life, right? Go to Cancun for my birthday. I'll just pay for my boyfriend. I don't care. I have the money and he doesn't want to do it anyway. And so I'll just cover it. That's like on a micro middle class level, right? Like think about that when it's Brooklyn Beckham and you have a girlfriend who's saying to you, let's just take the yacht out. Let's just take the PJ somewhere. If I'm Brooklyn Beckham and I don't have a career, yeah, I'm holding on to that meal ticket. Regardless of the prenup, I'm still getting the crumbs of luxury, right? And I don't want my life to not be this way anymore. So yes, I'm going to show deference to her parents. Yes, I'm going to blog about or Instagram about her dead grandmother. Of course, because I want constant access to this lifestyle. And I don't want to give up this lifestyle. And so if she wants me to write a 5-page Instagram story denouncing my parents, great, because it keeps my butt warm and on the jet. And I do think a little bit sometimes, maybe it's just all about that.
Well, and again, but here's another reason why, to your point. He knows that if he doesn't have her or if this marriage ends, he has to go back
To
to
hustling.
his family. Exactly, because I think what is very clear from even the other children, there is an expectation within the Beckham family that you are going to work.
Yeah.
Romeo is out there
And
modeling. Cruz, I think, has a band that I've seen Victoria back. I don't think they care what you're doing, but you're going to be doing
something.
something. You need to have some sort of endeavor that you are working towards. And I do
Oh my
think it
God,
is sort of a
wait. Okay,
testament
wait.
to his character that he just is like, I would prefer to kind of be supported and not really have to struggle, or to have to your earlier point about this really being an issue between him and David, him really going back and having to find his place within this family. Right. I think he clearly tapped out on wanting to do that. And I think like that's not going to serve him well in the long run.
And I will say this to bring it back to the money thing. And again, this is just me like, none of this has been okay. To your point that you just made, maybe that's it. if you're in the Beckham family, you do get your inheritance. You do get millions. You do get the credit card, but you have to work. And it has to be something legitimate. And you, Brooklyn, doing your little YouTube videos every 30 days, trying to be a chef is not legitimate. And maybe that's what happened too. Maybe that's the rub, right? Where they're like, Brooklyn, listen, we want to help you. We want you to have access to your trust fund, but like you need to do something. And he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do anything. And maybe these other kids are more apt to just fall in line and do what they need to do in order to, again, continue the gravy train of mom and dad,
Well, I mean,
right?
look, we all just saw her documentary. She comes across like a workaholic.
So does David. Well,
I,
even a little bit less than
in
her.
different ways. He seems a little bit more
He's a little
chill.
bit more chill
I
for
think
sure.
that she's clearly had a chip on her shoulder about this fashion house and like has clearly not let it go that she's going to turn it into what she needs to turn it into. And so I
Yeah.
think like yeah, to your point, I think there is probably some expectations as it relates to work ethic. It is interesting the whole part of the statement where he talks a little bit about whatever it was that they were bringing to him regarding his name. I think that even that is probably being misrepresented. I think it is probably something more to do with what are you doing with your life and how are you monetizing your name and
And you're about to
hey,
give up
since
your
you're a
name.
lazy bum, maybe we
Yeah.
could take that on for you. That's
Right.
what I think happened. I think
Yeah.
she probably was like, all right, son, I see you doing nothing with your life, so I'm gonna lock up your name and start to
Right.
control and maybe do some,
Right.
brand deals for you or because you're not doing anything.
Right. Right.
The one
Because
other
he
thing
was
I
about to lend his name out. Like, this all makes sense to me too, because if you think about the fact that he was about to sign a document saying, I'm going to be Peltz Brooklyn and she's going to be Peltz, Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Peltz Beckham, right? That like his parents might have thought, ooh, then that means even after you get divorced, because that's what's going to happen here, she
yeah,
is going to be able to trademark and make money off of the Beckham name. Is that
yep,
something, son, that you're completely aware of?
yeah, and are you will yeah, 100%. I think the only other thing I wanted to touch on in the note, because I do think this was the part that for me just felt like a really, really low blow, was him implying sort of the inappropriateness at the wedding dance.
Seems like
This
Mark Anthony's fault.
this story came out not long after the wedding that Nicola had left the room crying. There was some sort of mix up. I doubt we'll ever really know the truth of what happened. I think it's very odd that apparently they said that I think Brooklyn and Nicola, I don't know if this was an official statement, but I saw where like they're saying they're the only ones that have the footage of this dance and that he would never want the world to see it because he would be too embarrassed. I don't know if I buy that. I feel like there's got to be someone else that was filming it. Um,
I've only ever
but
seen Victoria Beckham on film dancing like this.
him implying, I think that his mother was being inappropriate in the way he was dancing. I do actually feel like, and of course, you've seen the memes. I think that's probably one of the things that set people off the most in defense of Victoria, actually. I think that, and that's what's so fascinating about like when these types of things unfold. Like in an alternate world, if he had removed that part of the statement, it would be so interesting to see how the fallout would have been different. But I think a lot of people had a really visceral reaction to that part because he's implying something so kind of like nefarious and gross
And
about someone
uncharacteristically
that is
untrue.
such a big public figure who posts dancing videos all the time, right? So, anyways, I saw today on Twitter that and I don't know if this is real or not, but I just am so fascinated by what really happened. Some sort of like DJ or someone that was supporting Mark Anthony has come out to give their version
Oh my
of
God.
what happened. And they are basically claiming that, like, to an extent, it's true in that Mark Anthony said the most beautiful. I don't think that person didn't comment on whether or not this dance was supposed to happen like that. They said that there was a dance later on similar planned with Nicola and her father.
Okay.
But in terms of this moment, they said that it was Mark Anthony that actually prompted it, saying, put your hand on your mama's hips, like in a Latin way, the person said, and that it was awkward actually for everyone in the room, but it was because of the nature of the dance and Mark
Which makes
Anthony,
so much
which
sense.
makes so much sense. Like, I totally believe this story
I
because
do too.
I do think if he's going out there and saying that, there is probably a kernel of truth in the
Of course.
uncomfortability that occurred or
Of
whatever, but I
course.
don't think that means that it was her doing something weird.
It's
So this
all
is
about
the
intent.
first explanation I've heard that would make a lot of sense because we've
Yep.
all been in those situations, or at least I can picture that, where someone is saying, "Get a little closer. What are you doing?" Or no,
Right.
like grab,
Turn it on.
whatever,
We're
right?
trying to make a wedding video
A hundred
here.
percent. So I think that that part is true. I think that it is absolutely categorically false that this dance was not planned in some way.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Oh yeah.
believe that. Like, give me a break. There's no way, even just down to like song choice, things like that. What
Right.
I think happened is the comment that Mark Anthony made, which was clearly unscripted. I think, given everything we know about Nicola and her being obviously crazy, she took deep offense simply to the fact that he was referencing Victoria as the most beautiful woman in the room. I think that did happen. I think it was probably a poor choice of words on Mark Anthony's part, but I think
Yes.
Mark Anthony was focused on the task at hand, which is why I know
Yes.
this was planned, which was I am here to sing a song for the mother-daughter dance
Right.
for my friend Victoria Beckham, who I know well and love and adore, and
Who's paying me?
I'm just trying to give her a compliment in this moment.
Who's writing my check?
That is what I think happened. And I think this immature woman, Nicola, could not handle. I mean, look, is that what you want to hear on your wedding day coming from a celebrity singer? Absolutely not. Right?
No.
But at the same
No.
time, does that mean that it was an intentional snub at you?
No.
No.
Also,
Grow up.
maybe
Grow up.
it's like you gotta understand too, like, sorry, not to go this deep, but like Mark Anthony could have been coming off a plane from two other things where he had just said that same thing last night to a different,
Exactly.
it's all just part of maybe his shtick of what he brings out when he does these like kind of corporate
I'm sure that's not
private
the only time
events.
he said that line at a wedding.
Come on. It's so odd. I think here's
So
what I
that
will
part I
say.
thought was really messed up about the statement. That to
I
me
agree.
where he just took it too far. I
I
think
agree.
accuse your mother of that is just gross. And hard.
Yes.
Like it is.
Yes.
Get
He
over it.
missed the mark. He missed the mark completely. He made a miscalculation. And then to your point, when you add in these little kernels of what you think are going to be truth, it totally turns people off from even trying to understand your point of view because it's like, well, we didn't need to know that. If you wanted to keep your wedding private to begin with, if we've never seen footage from this wedding, then what we certainly don't need is a 4 year in review. That's another thing too. Like what is real? I listen to enough true crime podcasts to say this with confidence. Your memory is so faulty. Like
Oh,
even I
100%.
pride myself on thinking that I have a steel trap. Trust me, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, and especially with hindsight and with time and with rumination, it you can change a memory in your mind. You can make it
The
more
emotion that
pronounced.
you're feeling in the moment that the memory is happening can impact
Exactly.
how the memory is even getting stored.
Thank you. You can ascribe emotions that you never had in the moment because you're looking back and you're thinking, wait, I'm angry about that. And so you're thinking in the moment that you were angry and you weren't, you were hurt or you were confused or whatever it was. So, yes, I just think we should not be using references of barring he said, she said, whatever. Too much time has passed.
Yeah.
You need to reference something much more recent for us all to get on your side. What happened yesterday that is no more gowns and no more wedding. Thank you.
No one cares. I
No one
agree.
cares.
I think they again, to wrap it all up in a bow, they really showed their ass with this moment.
They
And
sure
I
did.
think they're definitely regretting it. And I hope somewhere that I know Victoria Beckham is probably really, really hurting, that she can take a little bit of solace in the fact that this has basically put her back in the news in a positive way. This is the best case scenario for her in a situation like this to have fans rally around her, to have new fans being formed. It just reinforces how iconic she is. So I hope that that is giving her some solace. I hope that the people around her are telling her that like the world is on your side, and only time is going to show the truth of this situation.
I
And I feel
agree.
pretty confident in saying that Brooklyn and Nicola are going to come out on the short end of that stick.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
But speaking of short ends of the stick, I can't believe that we are talking about Baldoni again. He seems to sort of be getting the short end of the stick, but also maybe
I don't
in a
know.
way that
I
he
gotta tell
deserves.
you. I gotta tell you, my
He had
brain
it
is
coming.
totally switched.
He had it coming.
Oh,
I mean, I,
I sang that
this
this
is
morning.
this is
I
the
sang that this
story that
morning.
just keeps on giving,
Oh my
Like
God.
it just here we go again and again and again and again and again. January 2026, we are still talking about this one.
It's incredible.
These text messages. I mean, honestly,
These emails.
this has just been the best week. Like to have the Brooklyn thing, and then this just comes so soon after. Thank you, celebrity gods. We love you. Um, I don't know. Like, I guess here's my question for you to start at the top. Has anything that come out this week changed your mind about how you were feeling about this entire thing? And maybe recap because, you know,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about this. We weren't doing the podcast when all of this
When this all
started.
happened.
Maybe just give us a sentence summary on how you were feeling about this in terms of who you thought was right, wrong prior to this week. What was
Oh,
your
okay.
opinion heading into this week?
Okay. Heading into this week, my opinion was that it seemed as though if Blake Lively wanted to find a vehicle to produce a movie, that she is married to someone who has enough money and enough power that she could have found her own Colleen Hoover script. Let's be clear, this is not incredible IP.
Yeah.
This is a this is a it's a heated rivalry situation, right? Where it's this
AI could have
woman.
written this script.
Thank you. She bangs out these books for mass appeal. They border on YA in the sense of like how easy they are to read, but
Yeah.
they do cover adult material, much like I've mentioned about Heated Rivalry, right? But the way in which they're written, we're not talking expansive vocabulary, okay? So yeah, if Blake Lively wanted to do this, she should have done it. The way in which she approached this whole thing by backdooring some sort of ownership to this movie by muscling out the man who found the
Yeah.
opportunity, who found the script, who paid for it, who directed it is so smarmy and so bizarre to me that it's like, how did you think this is like the moon landing. I swear to God. It's like there's so many people out there like, we didn't land on the moon. Okay, fine. That means that 500,000 people are involved in some sort of conspiracy. And everyone has the same story and everyone is saying the same thing. And for years and years, no one has come out and said anything different of note, right? Just a bunch of TikTokers who thinks we didn't land on the moon. Okay. So you can believe either one. We either didn't, or all these people are keeping the same secret. And that's how I feel, where it's like, Blake, there were so many people on set. Did you really think that it was just going to take you, Ryan, and Jenny to change the narrative of what everyone else on that set saw, what everyone else was privy to? You're dumb. Of course it was going to end up like this. So that was how I felt. Was like,
Yeah.
you're now, what has come out this week, I will say a couple of different things about it. There is this like PGA letter thing where Blake Lively in some of there's been like some text messages to Taylor Swift. These are the notable things that have come out. Text messages to Taylor Swift, some emails to Ben Affleck, some emails to some other people kind of calling Justin Baldoni a little bitch, which he may be. I don't know. And then, and then
Probably is.
Probably is. And then this longer email to the members of the PGA, which is like a production guild, where you can get this PGA tag if what you have proven to do on a set is above and beyond just giving money in order to be a
Yeah.
producer. Okay. So I do just want to say, my opinion on that is that's fine. Like the fact that she wrote this long letter detailing what I did go through the bullets, which seemed like some heavy lifting that she did do in order to get I'll give you a small example. She called in a bunch of favors for the wardrobe. Whatever you want to say about the wardrobe of that movie, everyone was talking about it. So it did its job, right?
Yeah.
Like her calling in those favors, I know it was ugly, but the ugly wardrobe made that movie more marketable. So
Yeah.
ding, okay, good on her. So it's like, that's fine. If she wanted to do that, good on her. I think what starts to get into the, oh my God, you are delusional is you're gonna write people like Ben Affleck. You're gonna go out to these busy and important people who you think that you have some sort of relationship with, who probably are opening these emails and being like, oh my God, the only reason that I will even write her back is because of Ryan.
Yeah.
Because I'm cool with her husband and like he's the guy who owns Mint Mobile. So he's incredibly, he's got millions of dollars at his disposal. I don't necessarily want to lose Ryan Reynolds as a contact. So I guess I have to write back Blake. Right? It's just so embarrassing for her. And I will say, when I think about like Kesha, right? Or
Yeah.
just different people where you think, what happened to it's because Kesha was too loud about a certain person at the wrong time. Like now we all know Dr. Luke was trash, but
Yeah.
she was vocal about that back when that wasn't popular, which is so unfortunate and I don't agree with. And so now no one will work with her because it's
Yeah.
like, she's gonna do what she did. She'll sue you. And I think that that's what Blake has done for herself. All she's done is painted herself in a corner as the type of person that if one thing goes wrong, she'll sue you or she'll try
Or
to
she'll,
defame you.
yeah.
Who
All
would
of
want to work with this woman?
I think, this for me is one of those like classic cases of like, both things can be true, right? I think,
Absolutely.
I
This
think,
guy probably
I,
sucks.
I don't think that Justin Baldoni is a good guy. I think he probably did do a lot of the weird things that he's being accused of. Has probably done it before, right? Maybe he's one of those ones that's just not been caught in the right act at the right time, that's been able to be, whatever. So that can be true, right? And I think it is. But I also think that sometimes how people, react to bad things happening in their lives or slights or workplace issues can be very telling of their character and
Yep.
personality as well.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that is what this has been for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I think an attempt to, vindicate her and then by extension later on themselves, since he got more
Mhm.
wrapped into this, in an attempt to bring Baldoni to justice, to
Mhm.
maybe give Blake some closure for what happened to her. I think there was, a lot of those things. In an attempt to do all of that, they have tarnished their image,
Absolutely.
I think,
Absolutely.
in a
Yeah.
really, really big way.
Yeah.
And I think that is sort of the tough part about this story,
Yeah.
right? Is that I don't think she is so crazy that she made up all these accusations and that all of this is coming out of nowhere. I think she just had a really bad way of handling what did happen
Mhm.
and clearly not the right people around her guiding her on what would have been the right thing here.
Yeah.
She should have walked away.
Absolutely.
That's what this comes down to.
Yeah.
If the things that she is saying were going on, and to your point, you are married to Ryan Reynolds, you do not need the money. At that
Mm-mm.
point, you don't need the
The
brand.
fame.
You are viewed positively still at this point. I mean, of course, there's always been the fringe
Right.
like
No,
Lively
but we
haters,
love Blake Lively at
but
this
you
point.
still have, walk away.
You're
Walk
Gossip Girl.
away. And in walking away, it would have further validated her claims
Thank you.
because everyone would have said, "Wow!" If that's if it even had made the news. Because the reality is there are people walking away from creative projects every single day, okay, and we never hear about it. It's like when movies come out and you're like, "Oh, did you know that originally they cast so and so, but then
They
whatever."
died.
Happens all the time, okay?
Mhm.
So maybe this movie would have still gotten made with another actress.
Yep.
Maybe it would have all fallen apart.
Right.
It would have died on the vine.
Right.
And that's where I come back to it's so telling of them,
Yeah.
right? because I think
Petty.
there are a lot of people in a situation like that that would have raised maybe the flag to Sony, not gotten the response they wanted from Sony, and then said, okay, fine, I'm walking. I don't need to do
Right.
this. If you're
Yeah.
not going to address this, if you're not going to put the right protocols in place,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. What that
Yeah.
PGA letter proved is that she instead thought, I'll fix it.
Uh,
I'll take on
yes.
the full charge and care of this entire cast and crew to protect them from the person that day to day is leading this entire thing.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
going to be the shield.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And forget my own trauma. I can bury that down
Yeah.
in this moment and pull myself up by my bootstraps so that we can still somehow make this work.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense,
No.
and I think
No.
that's where it's like, were they bored? Did they just, I
Okay.
don't think Brian and Blake have a lot
Okay.
going on in their lives, to be honest with you. And
Okay.
I think last thing I want to say here too, this is where for me the Taylor stuff gets interesting because it
Uh-huh.
just shows what I've always thought about her as well. She's the same type of person, right? I think I think we talked about this on the pod a couple weeks ago, where they say that celebrities get frozen at the age that they become
Yes.
famous. Okay. That is Blake's problem. And that is definitely Taylor's problem. And a lot of those exchanges just show they are still living in like high school girl land
Mhm.
where outside of their work and maybe her kids, there's not much going on. And she clearly had all the time in the world to take this on, wanted to take this on, was probably getting a little bit of enjoyment out of it. I mean, that's the thing that comes across for me that's so crazy about the messages. It's like, I think they were sort of enjoying taking this guy down. And that's the
Okay.
part that just
I
makes
agree.
it so bizarre.
Because here's okay. This will be my final thing I say about this, and then you can have a final take. Here's the thing. Taking this all away, I think that both of them made this misstep because I think both of them wanted to be in this moment these social justice warriors. Okay.
Yes.
They have this Colleen Hoover book that's about domestic violence. Justin buys it. He starts to craft this movie. Blake is a part of the movie. She probably never read the book. So now now it's like it's week 3 of her being on set. And it's starting to clock to her what this movie is really about. And
Yeah.
she starts to think to herself, why is a man trying to direct this movie? Why is a man trying to tell this story? This is about domestic violence against a woman. Surely what me and Jenny can help him do is
Mhm.
understand this. And then she gets deeper thinking to herself, I'm more apt to tell this story because I'm a woman. When to your point,
Totally.
she's not apt to tell this story because she's stuck at 15
Yeah.
and mentally is not emotionally and intelligent enough to even tell that story in a way. And we see that come across through the marketing because
Yeah.
then when it's her at bat to, okay, here you are, it's your turn to go make this Barbieheim thing happen, but for this movie where we're going to put you front and center. What does she do during all? She doesn't talk about domestic violence. She talks about wear your florals and bring your girlfriends to the movie as if this is Barbie, as if this
Still
is like
can't
a
believe
good
that she
time.
said wear your florals to a domestic violence movie. I think to me that's like, to your point, that's the most telling thing
That's the most
about her
telling
being
thing.
of such a strange
They
mindset.
both were just they both thought that this was going to be on Fame or whatever. What I think they both thought was that this was going to shine their halo. And it's like, you know what? Whenever you start out something in your life thinking that that's what the end goal is going to be, that people are going to look at Justin Baldoni and think that's an advocate. He's a woman's
Yeah.
man. It's like, oh my God, your intentions were not pure. And this is exactly what you get for that.
It's also
Congrats.
like, I think to your point, it's like a flexing of power. Like, one thing I saw that people have been digging in on is like it's clear from the documents that Taylor Swift arranged the New York Times interview. Taylor
Yeah,
Swift, I guess, has had a budding friendship with Ronan Farrow over the years, who often writes for the
there
Times.
you go.
And I guess had reached out, but was clear that he could not write the piece because it would then be connected back to Taylor. So he
Right.
helped orchestrate the piece. But this is all like well documented, confirmed. And I think
Right.
for that, it's like a flexing of her media muscle, right? Like I
Mhm.
think for Taylor, she's getting wrapped up into this moment of, oh, okay, now my best friend has been wronged. And I'm in the position of helping to make that right and expose this man to the world. And look at me, I can just call up the New York Times and
Yeah.
help orchestrate how that's going to come out. I mean, because when that article came out, it was a bombshell, right? That was
Right.
sort of the thing that shifted the conversation that had been going on. So I think it's also just like a lot too about power and control and ego. And I think you see that with the Ryan Reynolds stuff as well, right? Like I think
Yes.
they've all collectively sort of shown that they do think that they're, the most amazing people in the world who can
Yes.
do whatever they want, and people
Yes.
are going to jump through hoops and change, their statements and delete Instagram photos and all of this because of the amount of power that they have. And I think what is crazy is what proceeded to happen backs that up, right?
Yes.
Like at every turn, the things that they were demanding. Sure, maybe you see in the letters their frustration with how fast that was happening, but ultimately they got their way in a number
Yeah.
of different ways.
Yeah.
He was shunned for the premiere and
He
kind of
he was
relegated
relegated to the
to the
basement.
basement, so I feel like somewhere along the way or pretty early on, it did start to become about power and control. And I think that's what people unfortunately are now going to take away from this. I think that's sort of the irony of this entire situation is that, you know, like you said, they thought they were shining, a bigger light on what it's like for women in the workplace and trying to correct that. But I think all anyone is going to remember from this entire moment, since we'll call it, since it's been going on for years, is just that we've now sort of seen the true colors of Ryan Reynolds, Blake, and Taylor, and we've
Absolutely.
seen them all get off on someone's pain.
Yep.
And again, like to go back to Justin Baldoni's culpability, I think it's very likely, yeah, that he is all the things that they say, right? But to watch celebrities that, the public has a certain view of enjoy someone else's suffering, laugh and, gaggle and trade
Hee.
texts about ways to make that suffering greater,
Right.
it's just not a
Come
good,
on, guys.
it's
Come
not a good
on.
look. It's just not.
I this is a tangent, but it's good because it'll get us on a different subject. But and I'm gonna search for it, Rhinestoners, and I will link it in our show notes. In Italy this week, because I'm not going to be able to quote it all correctly. But basically, I think it was in Italy this week. There was a case that was tried against like an influencer who had kind of done this sponsorship, and it had ended up kind of snowballing where the money that was supposed to be rose and donated because of this whole sponsorship that she did ended up being like 5% of what she actually got. So it's like the people who were supposed to be benefiting from this thing were the least paid. That's kind of just like a quick synopsis. Her name is Chiara. Anyway, I'll link it. The whole point is that now what's going to potentially be up for I guess like making into some sort of law in Italy is when you have over 500,000 followers on any sort of platform that moves you into, and again, I don't know what the tag is, so when I link the article, please read it because it's really interesting. It moves you into some sort of like journalistic mode, right? Where then your socials get a certain tag,
Hmm.
and you're also held to a journalistic standard, right? Which is to say, hey, every time you make a post, it is now going to go through the rigorous whatever that the newspapers go through, those
Because
checks
you
and
have
balance,
this scale of
because
audience and
you
exposure. Yeah.
because your microphone is going to almost a million people.
Yeah.
And if your microphone is going to almost a million people, we need to, as a country, as a government, understand what you're saying. And I think this is, it sparked that for me because I know that this all didn't happen on Instagram. But I think to your point, this is a dangerous place that we're in where it's not just he said, she said, it's he said, she said, and I'm going to employ my army to kill your life
It's manipulation of media to
before it's even been
serve their
litigated.
purpose, basically.
Right.
Yeah. And I
You're
think so
manipulating
actually that
media.
is a great segue because to talk about manipulation of media, that was basically I would say sort of the main point coming out of Salt Lake this week, right? Talk about a segue, Rhinestoners, but it's true.
And we know how to do it. We know how
Um,
to get on Bravo.
because I need to dig in with you because I'll be honest, I am still confused about this whole Lisa
No.
Barlow fake Insta, them checking to see the whole like I don't I know
I
that
think I
Andy didn't
understand it.
I know Andy did not have any patience for it, but I wish we could have spent more time on the mechanics of it because just let me tell you a couple things I don't understand
Thank
and then
you.
maybe you can fill
Okay.
it in for me.
Okay.
Okay. One, I'm sure it's a setting that you can like send it to your phone number. Whenever I have had to retrieve my Instagram password, it is going to my email address.
Okay.
So that's just the first thing right there that confused me.
Yeah.
Second thing, when that happens, I have never had it display back my full email, right? It's
Right,
not
right.
saying that. So this concept that like they went in and pretended to lose the password to this account so that
Yes.
they could reveal the phone number.
Yes.
That is not my understanding of how Instagram works. Like
Yes.
for security purposes, they're not showing that.
Yes. Okay. So both things are true in the sense that, yes, it does. But what it does is, and I wish I could show you. So a screen will pop up and it'll say, like, if you do have it tied to your phone, which I do. So the
Yeah.
way that mine would do it is to the phone. It would send me a recovery code to my phone, I believe.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what it's going to show you is plus I've a 10-digit code,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Of the phone. It's going to show you +1. So like you're in the United States.
Yeah. Of course.
It'll show you an area code. So
Yeah.
like a 4, nothing, the last 2 digits. So my thing when I'm hearing this is both things might be true. Are they showing the whole number? No. Can they guarantee that it's Lisa? No.
No.
But if I have Lisa's number and I'm looking at Lisa's number in my contact list and I'm seeing Lisa's number is 1 4, nothing in between, and then the last two are that, I am then making that
Yeah.
intelligent jump to it's probably Lisa's number because,
Yeah.
right? So that's they are making a jump, but I think probably they're right.
I think probably they're right too. I just found it odd, even in terms of how it ended. I think Angie made a comment like, we've known for years and we've all moved past it. Like, she said that we've all continued to be your friend and we've known for years. I'm like, well, then why are we talking about it?
What?
Right? I
It's the
think
wedding
those are
dress.
the moments for me where I'm just like, I think Salt Lake in particular has the worst habit of jumping back into old stuff. I think
I
it is
agree.
because of some of the way the women are, but as a viewer, it gets really, really old. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really care to talk about Lisa's Finsta, especially if the bulk of what it was doing that they didn't like happened years ago. Like,
And don't we
I
all
thought
have a Finsta?
I'm just
Am I
confused. I
alone?
thought we were talking about it because it was like a recent thing. And instead they're like, no, this was like, something that was I thought that was really, really strange.
Angie doesn't have one. Like Heather doesn't have one. Maybe they're not active,
Yeah.
but tell me that you don't have. I would be shocked. It's so. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everyone is so hungry for followers that the reality is, if I'm Heather, for example, I probably could just make an Instagram profile with a logo, throw a name on it,
Yeah.
post one photo, ask to follow all of the housewives. And because they want followers, they're going to let that person follow them. And boom, bam, boom. Now I have access to everything you're posting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that nefarious to think that probably they all do that so that they can see things of people that they don't want to follow publicly. Come on.
Well, but I think, so that's another point, like to the earlier comment I made about the manipulation of media. I think that is another thing I personally struggle with Salt Lake. And I know probably some people do enjoy this aspect, but they also seem to be the ones that interact with all of these bloggers the most, right? And where that plays the most into the storyline. And I will say, of course, that has given us some iconic moments and finales and things like that. But I think that aspect of it also does get old. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, it's that constant reminder to the viewer that there is no real trust between these ladies. And
That they're not friends.
I know that we'll get into Beverly Hills in a little bit, but I think, just to compare to Beverly Hills, yes, these ladies have their challenges and their friendships too, but we know that they are not doing these types of things.
Yeah.
There is no Beverly Hills housewife that is interacting with Bravo bloggers and sending tips, and it's so far beneath them from like a class level, a wealth level, and they're not bringing that into their friendships either.
Mm-mm.
I think
Mm-mm.
that is where sometimes Andy seems exasperated in these reunions,
Yes.
because it is so much about let me get out the scroll and, let's like pull up the evidence and things like that. And I do think that it would be great if Salt Lake could find a way to move beyond that. I
I agree.
personally would like to see them in future seasons make media less of a character than I think it
Yes.
has been.
And if you remember, especially when it came to like I would say New York Housewives, early New York Housewives, like first couple of seasons. The cool part about reunions was really that like women would come, they would have watched the season back, right? And there were real moments of like forgiveness.
Yeah,
There were real moments of like,
progress.
yes, progress. You hurt me, like genuinely, right? And I think that that's a little bit to your point about like, yeah, they're not friends. We're losing that, where it's like the reunions used to be about reconciliation. How
Yeah.
are we going to move into this next season? You know, Summer House does a great job of that, where the last two reunions that they've had, it's like we're seeing in real time Ciara and Wes talk to each other, go through this, and then they go back into the Summer House, and then you see that actually come to the fore. You see,
Yeah.
okay, she has forgiven him. She's giving him some sort of second chance. She is putting her money where her mouth is, in the sense that she's telling him she's not going to be mean to him all summer. And she wasn't, right? And so that was really cool to see. There's no
Yeah.
progression on Salt Lake. It's like it's the same thing, and it's unfortunate because I think this cast is great. I think Meredith, even say what you will, she's just a great foil to all of these women, where she is sort of untouchable in some ways, right? I think Mary, it was so funny because I heard something this week where it's like, and we all decided to not give one fuck about that talk. Moving on, right? It's like, nope, like
No,
she's
no one cares.
Teflon, I
Yeah.
guess. So they have the bones or the foundation, and they continue, in my estimation. I'm sorry, I think we're on season 2 of a miss. I think we're missing. I think we're not
Well, I mean,
capitalizing.
even to your point, we're now going back because this is really the only other thing I thought was worth discussing. We're now going back into the past of things that we, the viewer, don't even know about. So let's
Thank
talk
you.
about the Meredith and Brittany of it all, because
Right.
now we're being told about a scene that happened off camera, a conversation where production was present and clearly siding with Brittany. Okay. I have to be honest. I think, as our Rhinestoners know, I love Meredith. I always have. Picked her as my favorite housewife. This was a tough turn for me with Meredith. I felt like she was reaching.
Yeah.
I feel like anti-Semitism is a huge
Oh,
thing
it's
to
so tough.
accuse someone of.
Yeah.
I think that even the dumbest viewer does not think that Brittany is an anti-Semite.
No.
Okay. Like Brittany is a lot of things. Okay. But I felt like that whole exchange, Meredith's accusation, Brittany's response to the accusation, like
Like, what are we trying to do?
maybe Brittany took too long to realize or pull it down. But when Brittany clarified that Meredith also has used this person, it just to me felt like a very like convenient thing for Meredith to have on Brittany to be like, oh, well, you didn't renounce them fast enough though once we all found out they were terrible. Like,
Oh my God.
I believe Brittany. I believe the timing of it. I believe that she didn't know that she did the post and then realized it. And then, I just
And
it was
still
it
did the
was
right thing.
it was just kind of gross for me, Meredith.
It was.
I didn't like it, and I obviously too, I think like she's bringing it to Andy because she knows how seriously Andy is going to take an accusation like that. But I thought it was a little out of left field. I feel like a little weird about it, but it's at the
Yeah.
same time, it also is very clear to me too that the cast is trying to get Meredith kicked off the show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
There
just there's just a lot of like I don't know what's
there
really
are
going on.
certain things I do think that go into defamation of character.
Yeah,
And I do think calling someone, listen, once you say that, it is out there,
yeah,
right? Because then it's like there is that, we all, you and I love to say where there's smoke, there's fire in Hollywood, that
totally.
like a lot of the times we hear these things and oopsies, 5 years later, it ends up being true. Ho ho, Shia LaBeouf is beating people. Wow, okay, that was right. So it's like, yeah, on one hand, it's like once you say that, people automatically will, people, there are people who are going to think, oh, something must have happened.
Yeah,
Brittany must have said something to make Meredith. She wouldn't just come out of left field with that. And that's
totally.
so unfair because it's like, maybe she was just slinging mud. Like maybe that is out of left field. I would put like, yeah, pedophile, molester, bully is like a lighter version, but I do think on Housewives, that's like a big trigger word for people. Like when you start to call them a
Yeah.
bully, right? It used to certainly be racist and an anti-Semite. Like those five, I think are pretty, it's like you better have some concrete examples of how you've seen this
Well,
before
and
you
the thing is,
start.
Mary felt like she did, but I felt like the deeper we got into the example,
It fell apart.
it just to me it fell apart. And again, it's just seems out of character. Okay,
Yeah.
I just like think about Brittany and who she spends her time with. You know, she is in Mormon prop. I just don't like. So what? Now we're supposed to believe that she's spending half of her time hating a Jewish population that's barely in Utah.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
what? I don't
Yeah.
like.
I don't,
It just
yes,
doesn't track with so many things that we know to be true about Britney. So I
I
did feel a
completely
little bit disappointed in Meredith with that because I just feel like do better.
Okay. I also feel, though, a little bit to put a bow on that one. This is why I'm not sold on the 3 episode reunions because
Yeah,
I do think this is eventually what it devolves to. If I'm made to sit on a couch for 12 hours or however long they're there to
yeah,
shoot this 3 episode thing, I could imagine by hour 10, I guess we are calling each other anti-Semites because there's nothing else to fucking do at this point.
now
Like,
we're just bringing everything up. Yeah,
we're going crazy. We're hungry or we're drunk or whatever it is, right? And you're just kind of pulling your hair out like, "Oh my God." So I also think like this is why we need to keep them clipped. Let's
yeah.
keep them to topics,
Or at
you
least more
know.
control. I think,
We're,
let's see what
yeah,
happens next week with the final one. But I think overall, these reunions have felt so chaotic, so all over the place. There's really been no
nothing
sense
additive.
of reconciliation for the viewer. There's nothing additive. And it's definitely not making me excited for next season. That's the other thing.
Absolute. I don't.
So I don't know. I think we went left here, but at least we had a little bit of a bright light this week because I loved Southern Charm.
Southern
I just, I
Charm.
just, first of all, I want to say I love Rodrigo. I'm happy that they've kept him like, because I feel like some seasons he's been more friend
Yeah,
background. Like I feel like his role has always sort of fluctuated, but now
I
they're
agree.
bringing him more to the forefront, and he's doing his job by planning a party, giving us an opportunity to see the whole cast together, which is really when this show shines, right? Is when they're
Yes.
all together doing something. Um, this was just a great episode. I sort of felt like we were going back to like the early days again, similar to what we said last week. But I will say I was very angry watching this whole episode.
Why?
And I think you're gonna know why. I just felt
Why?
very disappointed. I don't know why I was taking it so like hard, but I felt really disappointed in Austin.
I
I,
know.
I I feel really bad for this girl Audrey. She's out there somewhere and she's having to either watch this or hear about this from her friends as these episodes are airing. And we are like 4 episodes past the point of Austin needing to have broken up with her. She seems like a beautiful girl. She seems like she has a great head on her shoulders. I don't know what she does for work, but I mean, clearly she has a life in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I just think it's really unfair. I don't think she's someone that deserved this treatment. And I know
Yeah.
that Austin on the show, I mean, maybe now he feels bad, but on the show, as this is happening, clearly didn't understand like the weight of what he was doing. But
Yeah.
this is like definitely one of my pet peeves, I think, and don't get me wrong, women do this too, but I think men tend to do this more of just dragging out the inevitable, and it's just it's wrong, and this episode really highlighted it because Austin has his sister even telling him like, dude,
What are you doing?
you're at the year and a half mark. Like, if you're not seeing a future with this girl, like, let her go. Like, it's
Yeah,
just so unfair to women and our timelines when men behave this way.
I know. And also I will say this too. You're 36. How old is
He's
he?
30. Oh, by the way, guess what I found out because
Tell me.
my boyfriend and I were talking about this. So he's 38 and Craig is 36.
Oh, that's funny. They're us. They're
For
us.
us. I honestly, it is weird to think about Austin being older than Craig, but he is.
No,
So
I,
he's a 87 baby and Craig is an 89 baby.
that's why I wanted to check because I was like, is he older than Craig? But
Yeah,
yeah, so he
he's
because
38.
I thought he was. And I say that because I know Madison is a little bit more mature than
Yeah,
Craig, and that is why Austin and Madison were together because not I know 2 years isn't so much older, but the
yeah.
reality is they have the same cultural references, right? Um, listen, I want to say before we even get going, because I do have a thought on that, y'all, you need Sally was on The Bachelor. She was a contestant on The Bachelor back in the day. Please go and Google, you know how the Bachelorettes
Yeah.
have a little bit of like, this is who I am. So she has a talking head of who she is. This was maybe like 8 years ago. Okay. Everyone, she's aging in reverse. I don't know what's going on. Sally, I don't know if you saw the Instagram photos from the other day. They were all at By the Way, which is
No, I didn't.
Austin and Craig's restaurant in
Carlson.
Carlson. Her face, whatever she is doing, I don't know if it was a lower bluff, an upper bluff, Sculptra, Botox, I don't know what it is, but that girl's face from 8 years ago and now are completely two different faces. She is stunning. She is doing something to age in reverse. Good for her. She looks great. I just want to point that out and I want everyone to go look at it because it's incredible. The other thing that I will say too is I think what Austin suffers from, and if you go back to the beginning of, I guess it was this season. No, it was last season because he's been with this girl for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
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 So it was the beginning of last season. He brings her over to his parents' house. This was episode like 1 or 2 when we were first introduced to Audrey, right? Where they're sitting down and his parents are asking her about, and this wasn't like the first time they ever met her, but and the topic of kids comes up, right? And she's like, oh, like I want four, and Austin's like, yeah, she wants a big family. And Austin's mom is like looking at this girl like, you poor schmuck. It won't be with my son. Like, that's great that you want 4 children, like awesome, and
Not
I
in this
think
family.
not in this family. And the reason I bring that up is just to say, in that moment was what was clear to me is that I do think with Shep and with Austin, I don't know so much about Craig. They want to still in some way fulfill this fantasy for their parents, right? They do want to be that guy that,
Yeah.
yeah, like Shep does want the beautiful wife and the 4 kids and to be the most popular husband in the cul-de-sac or whatever, his version of the cul-de-sac, which is like Millionaire's Row, okay? And then same thing with Austin. Like I think his parents are very traditional and he wants to prove to his parents that he can, he tried to do that chop hop thing, like be his own man, be his own millionaire, whatever that is, not need their inheritance when
Mom,
really he
his
got
mom even said to him in this episode, he got the kid lecture again. Like, hey, heads up, just so you know, this is the most fulfilling and important thing I've ever done with my life.
okay. So in his heart, he's thinking, I need to do that. But then in his brain, right? Or in his heart, he's feeling that. But in his brain, what he's thinking is, I'm in my 30s. Like I'm on a TV show. This guy slays.
I not only that, I'm like king of this town. Like, people
King of
really
this
do not
town,
realize how small Charleston is. It is small.
when if you listen to okay, so Ronnie Karam and Ben, they do watch What Crappens, right? I've talked to them. Anyway, they went out with Austin because they were the bartenders on Watch What Happens Live a year ago.
Hmm.
And Austin was the guest. And so afterwards, they all went out to a bar together in New York. And these guys, they were like, Austin girls are practically like like coming up to him, like taking articles of clothing off, right? Like sucking his, like just like dropping to their knees. Okay. They were saying it was wild because he's also incredibly tall. So
Yeah,
it's like
of
this
course.
guy's like, he is just a force. Okay. So I think that that's what these guys are just struggling with. It's like, man, I know I can get as
Yeah,
much
they're addicted to it. It's the ego boost. It's the constant ego boost.
and no,
All
and
the
they don't want to
time.
have kids.
Huh?
Which and they don't want to have kids, which like
I
fine.
think I look to your point, like I think Craig does. I think Craig will get married soon. I think it's only a
I
matter.
could see that.
He's wanted that forever,
But
you
he's
know.
not a southerner. That's because he's a northerner. I'm just kidding. But you
I don't
know?
think it's gonna happen for Shep at this point. I honestly don't.
No,
Like
I
I
don't
just
think
don't
so.
I don't see it for him. But yeah, Austin, like do better, man. I think we talked about this on a recent episode, but like he definitely has been using her as a crutch. He didn't want to be single on this season, last season. It's easy for him to be like, "Oh, well, she's in Charlotte, so this has been the perfect situation for him. He's been stringing her along. I'm happy that it looks like it's finally coming to a head now, hopefully, towards the end of
Yeah.
the episode. I think she's finally picked up on, what is really going on. I find it really interesting that Sally is still like on Watch What Happens Live, you know, actively kind of
Supporting Charlie.
I don't know if you saw, so it was like a couple weeks ago, we did talk about on the pod that Sally was on Watch What Happens Live and Charlie was in the Oprah chair.
Yep.
And last night, um,
Flipped.
it flipped,
Yep.
right? And I think it came up in both episodes though that like she's sort of gunning for Austin or oh no,
Hmm.
just off that was last episode. Last night it came up. Charlie said they're the same person, Sally and Austin. So I am very excited to see that play out and see what's going to happen there. But I think it was sad. What I wanted to tell you about last night's episode, because I don't know if you saw, Charlie had to answer a bunch of questions about something. And
Hmm.
I just have to say, I do not buy that these girls have actually moved on from their issues. I think they're putting up a really good front, but Sally was definitely watching intently to everything
Uh-huh.
Charlie was answering. And thank
Yep.
you. Like, Watch What Happens Live production team is so messy because they kept showing Sally again and again during the answers. And
Yes.
Sally was doing the best, worst, I'm pissed face ever. And we saw it like multiple times. She was just
Yep. Yep.
stone cold. And we're like, it was fascinating to see. I'm like, she is pissed right now by some of these answers. So Charlie is clearly not on script. Like Charlie, I don't think actually understands at all still what she did wrong, where she went wrong. These two
She's just a
clearly
beautiful praying mantis.
these two do not have that was the other thing. God bless Charlie, but like Andy, we can do without her next season. Like, even Andy was giving signals of, like, God bless you, but you're giving me nothing. There was a couple of, like, moments where Andy was like, okay, sweetie,
Okay.
thanks for
I
that.
will say, the one thing I will say about Charlie though, that whole look that she did, that like Julia Roberts red dress with the one string of diamonds that just like were glittering under
Yes.
those. Oh, I said, ooh, I'm still in. I don't know what I'm doing with that, but I'm taking that look and I'm doing
No,
something in
she
the
is
future.
gorgeous. Okay, so here's what's killing me about Charlie. She looks like so many different people. So, like,
Yes.
uh, my boyfriend said, I actually Googled it and he got the first one right because there's a list of what people think she looks like.
Okay,
So
wait, 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 wait.
he had the number one.
Okay, I have it in my brain.
Taylor. Most people think she looks like Shap's Taylor, which I don't know if I see that.
Same
Yes, but
exact like
you know what it is? It's Taylor
body.
when she's all makeuped up. Then I think they
And
kind of look this.
and they're like this. They're like tiny, tiny, tiny,
Yeah.
tiny. That's yes. Yes. They're
My
tiny
pick
everywhere.
is Cameron. I think
Yeah.
she actually looks a lot like Cameron. And you could
Yeah.
do like some side by sides.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think you're watching Landman, but there's an actress on Landman that she also looks like that plays this lawyer. So I do think she has that sort of like face for TV. You know, she has like
So
the
much.
interesting like feature kind of look and all of that, but
Absolutely.
personality wise, we're not getting a lot from Charlie. I found it really funny watching her continue to freak out about the Sally and Craig conversation. I was like, girl, move on. Like, Craig doesn't care, Sally doesn't care. Like, it was so fun. In some ways, it's almost like she was making a bigger deal out of it on this
Yeah.
episode than I think even Sally was. So that was sort of interesting, where she was like
Yeah.
struggling to move on. But
I also think too, like when we were talking maybe 2 episodes ago about what could Bravo do to remain relevant. And I think one of the things that we're not seeing, we have it in the Real Housewives franchise in the sense that it is a full female cast. That's great, right? We are not using that formula anywhere else on Bravo. We
yeah,
used to have back in the day, right? Like Gallery Girls, I think is the only thing that I can even think of that's akin to this, where it's like what we really do need is a show that is devoid of all men.
yeah,
That men literally are only there to date and to be right like that is it's a female led cast in Charlotte, for example, and it is literally from the point of view of them, and they're so open that what we're really seeing, and this is why we don't see it because women aren't, they're not going to open it up like this, right? But like, yeah, we're seeing you in the bed after the night, after the one night stand, like we're seeing you date, we're seeing you do that, but women won't do that because men are more, I think, like as far as like Southern Charm, we can
yeah.
see it right in the Southern Charm. Sally had sex with Shep, now she's a whore. So,
100%. Yeah, it's or we're
it would
talking
never
about it in
work.
different ways. No.
Yeah. But it's like, we are still in that same society has not changed so much that like the reality is that these men can be they can go
Well,
out
and
and
look,
have sex as much as they want.
that's where I can even be honest about like my own inherent bias in that like I couldn't believe that Sally was acting the way she was around Austin in front of his girlfriend. But
Right.
let's be real, we've seen these guys do similar things all the time,
Right.
and I probably wouldn't have even commented on it.
Right. And Sally's probably thinking, and to some people, maybe rightly so, that's not my girlfriend.
Sally is kind of acting like a man in that moment, truthfully,
Yeah.
because she's doing exactly what she wants to do and talking with Austin, and she's like, I
Right.
can give a fuck about what anyone else thinks, which is what an
And in this day
extremely
and
mature
age,
woman.
if I'm Sally, I'm thinking he knows his boundaries.
Yeah,
Maybe him and
it's
Audrey are
not
into
for
some
me to
weird
say.
shit. Right. Like maybe they go to bars and Audrey posts up and watches as Austin goes belly to belly, and then they go home and that gets them off. Do you know
Who
what
knows?
this is literally Modern Family. I'm just kidding, but that was like a, meeting each other in the hotel. It's classic. Okay. So that's all I'm trying to say is that the responsibility is on the person who is in the relationship. Now, I don't think that Sally should be kissing him or
No,
touching
and she is
him.
being
Okay.
very clearly overly flirty, and I think her being like, "Oh, your girlfriend doesn't like me," as she's like literally about to
Come
like
on.
jump
Keep your
into
hands
Austin.
off. Keep your hands off. There
Yeah,
is a boundary, but if he wants to talk to you at the bar and he wants to shoot his scene with you, which is really what it's about, is who he's going to shoot this scene with. He
yeah,
obviously didn't want to shoot it with Audrey because he
yeah,
doesn't want to keep putting her in the public's eye, right? Like he was trying to wane off of her mid-season. We're
yeah.
seeing that. She probably wasn't getting that hint, and he's thinking, I can't film with you again because then they're really going to hate me when I drop you. So we get it, but could have been done with more tact.
Agreed. The only other thing I was going to mention is just that, wow, our girl Vanita is down bad. It just continues to be rough for her. When your mother is coming into a scene to basically tell you that you're a mean girl, that Vanita needs a mid-season reset. I wish we could reach into time, pull Vanita back, just tell her, girl,
No. You know what
you're
Vanita
going to
needs to
bring
do?
your mom on. At least tell her what you're going to talk about beforehand. Ask her to side with you. And if she doesn't want to side with you, don't bring it up. That is not a great clip for Vanita. And that cracked me up. Her mom's just like,
Oh, Vanita, here's my advice to you. Walk down the street, knock on Shepherd Rose's door, ask him where he did his ayahuasca ceremony. Go do that shit. Come back. We'll talk then. She needs to do something fundamentally different. I don't know what it is. I actually think
I know
she's
what she
good
should do.
for. I think she's fine for bra. I don't know. What were you
I
gonna say?
know
Because
what
I'm
she
like,
should do because they're already hanging out together. She should just go on to Summer House.
wait. I think she's fine for Bravo. I think she and
Sierra
Ciara
has already taken her
could
under her
eat these
wing.
men up.
I would watch Sierra and Benita hang out.
I think that they could really take Jesse and Wes to task. I think that that would be such a funny, like,
Do we think that
counterpoint.
Benita's like rumored relationship with Carl is because she's just road mapping onto Summer House?
I mean, that would honestly, I think that would be the best case scenario.
Because here's what I don't want Benita gone from the Bravo universe right
That's what
now.
I mean. I think
Just
she's
to be
good for
very
Bravo.
clear, I know we've been talking about how down bad she's been, but I do like Benita. I just
Me too.
don't feel like she is
Me too.
being put in the right places and
Yes.
given the right support. I
Yes.
think on Summer House we could give her that.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I actually think Vanita has, here's the thing about Vanita. Fortunately or unfortunately, we do learn something about her every week. Now,
Yes.
is that thing like, wow, there's
Right.
more layers to her lameness? Unfortunately, yeah. But like she is that onion that keeps peeling. We're like, oh
Yes.
wow, there's levels to this. So that I do think is the difference between her and someone more like Sally, where I do think at this point, and maybe even more to your point about Charlie, even given Charlie's really interesting career, like on paper, man, is that so interesting? Because if she really is curating that gallery, then that means that she's traveling and looking at art. Like, I don't know if that's her job, but that should be what she's doing.
Yeah.
So, but that unfortunately doesn't make her interesting or captivating. So, there is an it factor.
Yeah.
Vanita has it.
Agreed.
You need to capitalize on it.
Yeah, Bravo, let's figure it out. Let's we need to make
Andy, I know you're listening.
she's underutilized in Southern Charm. Well, okay, in these last few minutes, I think Beverly Hills is interesting this season.
It's really
Because
interesting, actually.
because we are getting sort of the benefit of some of the newer housewives, but I
Yeah.
still feel overall we are lacking in storylines.
It's weird
And
because it's interesting but not entertaining.
that's I okay, that is a perfect way of saying it. Because like Bose's fertility journey, is it interesting?
Interesting.
Yes. Is it
Yeah.
entertaining or is it something I'm paying close attention to because I'm like enthralled in the no.
No.
Same thing with my girl Rachel Zoe, who I love. Like
Right.
it is interesting to watch how she would navigate a consignment store, what she's picking out. But I'm also like mostly bored during that
Right.
scene, right?
Right.
And I just was thinking like a lot of what is happening in their sort of like aside, like their individual scenes or their scenes where it's just them and another housewife, like these ladies really just don't have much going on in their lives. That's
Oh.
really what I'm taking away from it. And it's just kind of sad, I guess. Like I don't know. It is weird to reflect on because I'm like, okay, I'm trying to think like Kyle's biggest issue is she brought the wrong keys outside for the wrong car. I don't even think we got Erica one-on-one
I
this
don't
time.
think we
I
did.
don't remember anything with Erica, like just Erica
No. We got
herself.
a little bit last week with the
Yeah,
paparazzi and that, but
we
no,
got
not this week.
Sutton and Kyle in the sauna, which was like totally honestly an awkward scene to watch. Like
Oh,
to be honest, I wanted to like pay attention because I knew that was going to be about the Jennifer Tilly thing. I was
right.
so distracted by them constantly fidgeting with the sauna. Oh, let's turn it down. Oh, we have to turn the red light off. I was like, why did we think that this was the
A
right place
sauna.
to film this conversation?
I'm in my 30s and I can't stay in a sauna for longer
Every
than 10
single time they
minutes.
talked about the sauna, I was taken out of the moment. So we didn't really get anything there. Obviously, the consignment shop scene with Rachel Zoe and Bose, but again, that was not really that
But
interesting.
even Bose in that scene, like I didn't understand necessarily that dynamic because if tell me if you read this at all. There were a couple of moments where Bose was like, "Come on now, like you don't even know about that." It almost felt like she was a little bit digging on Rachel, like,
Yeah,
and so then I didn't get that either because I was
I
like,
wasn't getting like warm, friendly vibes. Like they're talking
"No."
about each other, now as friends and both like that they're all so, but it doesn't feel like it's definitely not the Dorit and Bose dynamic. Let's just say that,
Right.
right? Like
It
it's
was
not
not,
that level of
no,
yeah.
no. Which I think shows, I honestly, I think shows a lot about Bose. And I think shows a lot about what it's like to maybe be in Beau's circle, where it's like you
Yeah.
can be in Beau's circle if you're below Beau's.
You think Bose thinks Rachel Zoe is below her?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Dorit. She thinks Dorit's below her.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
Rachel Zoe
Fair.
is a threat to
Okay.
her.
I was gonna say, I was like, I
No,
don't know about
no,
that.
no, 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 no.
Yes.
Rachel
Fair.
Zoe is
Agreed. Point taken.
maybe,
Well, because Dorit, even since
yeah.
Bose met her, is like basically a little wounded
She's just
bird.
right, right.
Yeah.
Whereas like Rachel is this fully realized person who, as far as like corporate, probably threatens Bose most on that level because
Yeah.
Rachel Zoe has done actual real work partnerships. Rachel Zoe collabs with brands in the past when she was more noticeable,
Yeah.
right? To the point where if anyone could ever call Bose out on her marketing stuff, it
Yeah.
is Rachel. And so I think she
Totally.
knows that and she's like,
It's more of an equal. So maybe the dynamic
right,
is I
it's
agree.
different. She's
And then
approaching her differently.
there's the Amanda of it all,
I don't
which
even know what's going on there. I
so
don't.
to your point about interesting but not entertaining, her being a new housewife, I understand we're going to get the story, the unfortunate story of what happened with her twins. And, that is something that as a new housewife is relevant for her to share, right? So I wasn't surprised that we were getting a deeper look into her family, into some of her hardships. I think that's all what we all expect from when we're, getting to know a housewife. I think where it is going to get interesting with her as the season progresses is she obviously is, you know, learning the ropes of how you navigate filming and, how you show up and things like that. And I will just say, Rhinestoners, as you know, I love Dorit. I do think Dorit was in the wrong this week in
I
keeping the
agree.
conversation going. However, the frustrating thing to me about Amanda, I understand the thought process of I want to get out and I want to distract myself from the reality of this day and I want to be around friends. That you are allowed to make that decision for yourself. I think it was very strange that she did not tell them because when you are showing up to a cast lunch, dinner, party, get together, whatever it is, there is an expectation that everything is fair game. Meaning the
I
reason that
completely
those
agree.
get-togethers happen is to create the bulk of the show. It's an
Yes.
opportunity for them to basically come together, share what they've
You're
all been
writing the
talking
script.
shit about behind each other's backs, which is the whole point of
Yes.
doing the two off, three off conversations, right? Like that is the point of an event. It's
Yes.
it's it's hey, I get to now talk to you about, my grievances with you, or we
Right.
get to stir the pot on something else. So I do think for her to show up and film and then kind of be like, I do not engage. It's like we get it, and you definitely get a pass on that. But maybe that's where you shouldn't have shown up, you
Yeah,
know? Maybe that's
absolutely.
where you kind of take a step back and say to yourself, if one of the ladies did want to talk to me about something I did tonight, would I be prepared to have that conversation? Am I in the
Yeah.
mental place to have that conversation? So I think
Yeah.
it was 100% a lose-lose for Dorit. I think it was super weird that Amanda just didn't tell them that. I get how that's probably an uncomfortable thing to lead with, okay? But girl, it's a text.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see all of you tonight. I just wanted to let you know this is the anniversary of my son's death. I'm still coming because I need the distraction and I still will feel better being around you all, but I just wanted to let you know that that's what I'm dealing with. Done.
Absolutely.
Done.
Absolutely.
You don't
Absolutely.
show up and not share that. And
No.
that's where I feel like we're getting the first glimpse into what Bose says is Amanda's manipulation,
A little off.
right?
A little off.
Clearly, I think
Yes.
kind of almost maybe was hoping
Yes.
for someone to try
I
her
agree.
in that night so
I
that
agree. Which
could
is gross.
so that
Which
she
is
could shoot
gross.
back. Oh, like it's almost like, oh, I have this great card to play. If anyone says
Yes.
anything to me tonight, I can just say, my son died today. Because
Thank you.
what can anyone else say to that?
That's the part where I'm like, my reaction to
Emotionally
it.
manipulative, and I cannot stand people like that.
Thank you. I have nothing else to add because that's literally what I felt. I felt everything that you just said. Check, check, check. Could she have done that? Yes. Do we understand needing the release or the distraction of that moment? Yes. However, the way in which she obviously wanted this to be a storyline,
Yeah.
fine. If you genuinely wanted it to be a storyline in which you had a moment to talk and have these women, then what you could have done was literally not come. And then the next episode where you're sitting down at a table or a brunch or whatever it is, that could have been your moment on screen to say, here's why I didn't come. Then you could have had your crying moment. Then you could have had the sympathy from Dorit. Then you could have, but instead, in her little brain, she thought, I'm going to go and I'm going to make this night about me by using my dead eye. That I'm like, I'm out.
I just think there
I'm
were so
out.
many opportunities for her to handle it differently. Even her going and speaking to the medium and then coming back to the table. Because right when she was at the medium was when Rachel said, "Hey, ladies, let's gather at the table." You could have come back to that table and been like, "Wow,
Too
guys, that
heavy.
was really hard for me. I
Too
just talked to
heavy.
that medium. I know I haven't told you guys yet." She should have been the first to speak once they all sat down. And I think instead she sort of let it marinate. She gave us the opportunity. What was the other conversation that happened first? There was another kind of like, we need to get to the bottom of this first before Dorit chimed in towards Amanda. Was it something Kyle was involved in or something?
I thought it was Sutton.
Or was
Wasn't
it a
it
Sutton
Sutton?
thing? Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
had, oh, that's right. We started off with the Sutton.
We were still
We
relitigating.
shouldn't have even had the Sutton thing. She should
I
have
know.
been like, ladies, I have something to tell you. I got to get this off my chest. I just want you to know I'm having a hard night tonight, you know? So
Yes.
I feel like there was just way too much. Like, as soon as the Sutton stuff started, that should have been the signal to Amanda. Oh, we're going to talk about people's issues. We're going to get into other things that have been
We're
happening.
now going deep.
Maybe I should be prepared to have those conversations. So
I
that was
agree.
definitely very awkward to watch. I did enjoy that we finally got a Rachel Zoe event. I was so
I
excited that they showed
know.
her house, and I was like, oh, we're gonna get to see, like, how it's just fun to see how the ladies approach hosting differently.
Yes. Yes.
So that was kind of cool. And hers was exactly, I think, what I would expect. It was
I
like that
agree.
low key
Yes.
glamour, like nothing felt too over the top or fussy. It just
Yeah.
was sort of like perfectly
This is me.
imperfect, you
This is
know?
how I live. This is how I live, right? It's just like how I lived. It's how I lived with the dial turned up to 11,
Yeah, exactly.
which is so chic.
It
Like
is. She is definitely the definition, I think, of like effortlessness, right? Like,
she is. And I also think the definition of I don't give a fuck. Like
yes.
she really, Rachel Zoe does not live nor dress nor do anything for, and even when she had that husband, she was not afraid to be like, I'm going to live my whole life in a Kafgan, be damned. Like, I don't care. I really enjoy that about her. She
Yeah.
lives for herself and her sons.
So that I think, I'm happy with the Rachel edition. The only other thing I was going to say to you is about Bose and that like I still think that Bose is confusing being vulnerable with a storyline.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do understand that that's the biggest thing that's happening in her life at that moment, right? So, like, of course, it's going to center around that. And she is being very vulnerable. I think to admit that you might lose your romantic connection if you're not able to have this baby is pretty raw and vulnerable. I think there's a lot of women that wouldn't share that fear necessarily. So I do give her credit for that and like the transparency around it. I saw Keely was
Couldn't
on
she
Watch What
do a
Happens Live.
surrogate?
I think she explained why they don't want to do that. I can't remember what
Okay.
the reasoning
I need to go
was.
back and look at that.
But I saw that they are getting married. So it seems like
Yeah.
full steam ahead despite, her continued fertility challenges. So I thought
I
that
get it. I mean she's 47.
yeah.
That's my only thing is like, listen, I get it. And I think I don't really have commentary on it. I would just say like, it's one of those things where what I want is what they're never going to give me. I
Yeah.
want her to talk about being 47. I want her to talk about what her doctors are telling her. I want her to talk about what it took. I want
I
to talk
wanted
about
her
the
to say
risk.
why she was in Las Vegas because that was the first thing I
I
found
want
out. I was like, so there's a reason we're going to Las Vegas for this.
This is high
Explain
risk.
that.
We
Women
cannot
want to hear
deny
that. Clearly, you are choosing to not. It's obviously
it. This is
financial. Let's be real.
yes.
Okay. So, like,
Yes.
say that. Say, like, oh, it's actually super expensive to do fertility treatments in Beverly Hills. So I'm flying to Las Vegas.
Right.
I would love
Right.
to know that.
I
Like,
would love to know that. I think
and
that
how
there's a
she found
lot.
that out. Like,
Thank you.
she has knowledge and things that I think she could be giving to the viewer a little bit more.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
she's still trying to like curate herself a
Yes. And
little.
there would be a lot of women from the ages of 40 to 50 who watch these shows, who is a huge demographic who would be very interested in that story. But all we're getting
100%.
is we're doing it,
Yeah.
right? And it's like that, I think, is what I've talked to you before about, like the Giggly Squad and Paige. It's like she went through that process of freezing her eggs, and we really were, as like, I'm not a giggler, but
Yeah.
gigglers really did get a front. She said she would take them along for the ride, and she did. And I think that that's very generous because you don't have to do that. But knowing that her demographic is literally her age of 33 to 38, it's like that's what we want to hear. Like, how dare you do that and not tell us about it? So
Share
mm,
your knowledge
mm,
with the world, girl.
we
Like
want to know. We want
a
to
lot
know
of people
firsthand.
a lot of people want to hear it. So I don't know. I think this episode was definitely a come down, I would say, from the excitement in Arizona. So we'll see where it picks back up next week. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more drama because I think this was a, you know,
It is,
lukewarm.
yeah, it's keeping us somewhat satiated, but not full. I'm not
Well,
full.
Rhinestoners, fingers crossed that Brooklyn Beckham does something else stupid this weekend. There is going to be a big snowstorm here, so
Let's
I don't know.
go.
Hopefully they'll be bored and drop something else. Or I don't know. Well, I think we are still waiting for some developments in the Blake Lively case. So
I'm sure by next week too, there'll be like further far fallout from Oscar snubs. There's a lot going on and percolating as we get closer to
oh,
this
that's right.
fourth season.
Next week we'll make a point to talk a little bit about the
We will.
Oscars because
Yeah.
we didn't really get through that. But yeah, there
Yeah,
is
we can talk about what
definitely
we've seen because I
there
think we
is
both
some
have seen different things.
interesting stuff around the nominations that we could dig into for sure. But that is
Absolutely.
a another episode. This was a fun one.
I love you
I
so
love
much.
when
Have a good
celebrities give us juicy
weekend.
stuff to talk about.
I
I
know.
love
Thank
talking
you,
about Bravo,
world.
but it's fun when we have other stuff too.
It really is.
All right, Rhinestoners, we'll
Love you,
see you
baby.
next Friday.
Bye, Rhinestoners.